Google Maps is taking us down here this time. Yeah. It's different from how we got here.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Darren Smith along with Steve Walls, and we are live here from Highmark Stadium. Bring you the pregame cheat sheet. And Steve, this game tonight is the AFC Divisional matchup, the last game of the weekend. And of course, a lot of fans remember this game 2 years ago when it was played. Well, I guess it was 3 years ago. No, 2 years. I don't know. It was a couple years ago. Both of these teams played.
Third matchup in 4 years.
Matchup in 4 years. These two teams played in what a lot of people consider an overtime classic at Arrowhead. Chiefs won that game 42-36. They come back now. It's the first road game for us in the Mahomes era outside of a Super Bowl. Your thoughts on this matchup? Both teams are 12-6 coming to tonight's game. Buffalo is the number 2 seed, Chiefs number 3 seed.
Well, first of all, just setting the atmosphere here in Buffalo. It is cold. However, it's not as cold as last week. It's about 20 degrees right now. And driving into this, like you said, it's our first time here, but driving into the stadium, it gives you that old school, like high school Friday night football feel. Like that's the way that it feels to me, at least.
The biggest thing that I would say for folks who are not here, driving in, you saw literally 7 feet worth of snow that was just shoveled up off the street. Like, I mean, it's a lot. They get a lot of snow here. So.
And you know what? It's funny. It's kind of like people are just sitting on top of each other. Really, the stadium has a real close net. Like I said, Friday night lights. That's what it seems like to me. But it's going to be a good atmosphere. I think it's weather is going to be pretty good for a night of good football.
Yeah, and so for people wondering where we are in the press box versus being outside. This is just one of them days that weather going to win out on this. So, but we're actually in the home team's end zone, so to speak, where the press box is located. So this is an old school city. This is like Arrowhead. This stadium is the only one that they've always had. Of course, they did approve one last year that they're going to be building. It's not going to have a roof on it, so they'll still be shoveling enough snow out of here. So, more prior to them.
Weird.
But hopefully outside of a regular season, this will be our last time coming here in January for playoff football. But see, we'll look at tonight's matchup again. Both teams are 12-6. Buffalo has won, I believe, 7 games in a row. No, they won 6 games in a row to get to the point here. They knocked off last week. Who did they play last week? Forgot who they played already. Hey, that's crazy because I don't even pay no attention to them. I feel kind of bad about it. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they beat Pittsburgh actually just 5 days ago, which is crazy. So they're on 5 days rest. Kansas City, of course, knocked off
Monday night. They beat Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And so Kansas City knocked off Miami last Saturday. So Chiefs got a couple extra days of rest. Buffalo's coming in with a lot of injuries. I mean, they had it was reported they have a safety or the 5th defensive back that passed through concussion protocol. Of course, I had never heard of them. So, but obviously all of a sudden, Chiefs coming to town, everybody starts to get healed up. But what are your initial thoughts on this particular matchup based off of what you saw last week against Miami and last week with both of these teams playing Buffalo playing Pittsburgh on Monday night? What do you see?
Just starting with Buffalo, I mean, it was a battle-tested game. I mean, it seems like they were going to pull away, and then of course, Pittsburgh comes roaring back to make it pretty interesting. But I think there's a lot of pressure on the one and only Josh Allen on as far as from Buffalo side of things. Now, from the Chiefs side, I think you saw a team that it had me scratching my head at the beginning of the game. I mean, the first series, you go Mahomes to Kelsey across the middle, overthrow. Then you go Mahomes to Rashee Rice out on the flat, and that was an overthrow. And then I'm like, are they not going to run the ball? And then so they come back and Kelsey, first down on a 3rd and 8 or something, or no, it's 3rd and 10. And I'm like, they were rolling after that. And it seems like everything just started clicking. So I think this offense is coming in, with a lot to prove as well. Not as much as Buffalo, but I feel like they have the experience as far as going deep into the postseason.
One of the things for Buffalo, they won the AFC East title for 4 straight seasons, winning at the last game on the road in Miami, hence Miami coming to Kansas City on last week. Last week, Stephon Diggs had 7 catches in the wild card game against Pittsburgh. Hadn't seen the end zone. That was really the most action we've seen out of Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen in some time, especially after they changed offensive coordinators in the middle of the season.
It is, and you know what? I'll go back to last year's game. I don't want to harp on last year. I know last year's last year and this year's this year, right? But I feel like they're going to come in and try to mend that of what happened last year so that it doesn't reoccur. Because you remember,
Mm,
Stephon Diggs had 11 targets from Josh Allen last year and only
yeah,
caught 3 passes in that
against
playoff
Cincinnati.
game.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, or I'm sorry, 2 years ago when they played the Kansas City
Kansas City
Chiefs,
Chiefs.
yeah,
Okay.
in the playoff game. So I feel like you don't want to have what the picture that's out there of Stephon Diggs watching the Chiefs defeat them
You
again.
definitely don't want to see them celebrating on your field,
Of course.
which I don't think they would because they still got another game to play. Now, for those of you who are watch us online, drop your predictions in the comment section. We'll be happy to take a look at them and give you our thoughts as we proceed with with our pregame show. Steve, as we look out on the field again, they've got. I mean, there's literally no signs of snow at all on the ground here at the.
The streets were clean too when I was walking up.
Yeah, streets are clean, and it did actually start snowing about an hour or so ago, but it was light and lightened up and everything. But let's talk about the Chiefs in
Hmm.
this matchup. Chiefs, of course, last week they essentially introduced the world to the three-headed monster: Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelsey, and Rasheed Rice. Now
Hmm.
Rasheed, balled out. I think he had 8 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah Pacheco had a touchdown in the game. Travis Kelsey had a good game, but he had three drops, which is unlike Travis Kelsey. Now
Hmm.
we know Taylor Swift's going to be here. I know the Buffalo Bills and their fans they've been having a thing with Taylor Swift this week. But looking at Kelsey, give me some of your keys for the Chiefs to win in tonight's game. Because for me, first and foremost, he has to catch it. He can't have 3 drops in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. He's had kind of you think about it, you'd say he had a down season, but then I mean he was 16 yards away from having his 8th consecutive 1,000 yard season. So I mean, for Kelsey, I feel like he's taken on the role, and no one has said this, but he's taken on the role as decoy.
Mm.
He draws in everyone, and then you get the Rasheed Rice that's been able to be successful. He was 30 yards from having his 1,000 yard season as a rookie. And then Isaiah Pacheco, you got to remember he didn't play in week 14 matchup against the Bills, so I think he's coming in hungry because he's from the New York area,
Yeah.
right? So I think he's gonna come in and do well as well as this in tonight's game.
Chad Johnson predicts Kansas City winning 27-24, so I do like that score. I don't know if that's
27,
fine.
24 who?
Chiefs.
Oh, okay.
I see you got Chiefs winning
Okay,
27-24. He got them winning. The wide receivers, of course, that's been sort of the
Achilles heel.
thank you. I was
Hmm.
trying to find a nice way to say it, but
Yeah.
that's been the Achilles heel for the Chiefs throughout the season. The drops, essentially, that and the penalties from the offensive line. Now, in this game, we know Josh Allen usually is guaranteed a turnover. He actually played a clean game
Is it
last week.
guaranteed a turnover?
Well, he was up until last week.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was
All
saying.
right.
Up
Yeah.
until last week, he
Yeah.
played a clean game. But the way the defense has been playing and the way Spags' defense is, how key and basically more important than that, do you think that they'll be able to force Josh Allen into a turnover? Because anytime a quarterback plays against Mahomes,
Yeah.
they always want to go tit for tat. And Josh Allen, because he's got the strong arm and he's one of the quote unquote top 3 quarterbacks, he's gonna want to throw up against
Yeah.
Mahomes.
Yes. I think you know what
How does this play out?
the thing about it is I think you want to be open to that. You want to be open for the Josh Allen to try to go out there and go, pass for pass with Patrick. Like that's where you want. The thing you don't want him to do is be successful with using his legs.
Now, Allen's going to be without Gabe Davis tonight,
Yep.
but we saw what he did last week with Dalton Knox, I believe, and was it Schultz or who else did they have last week? No, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox last week. So yeah,
You don't want him to be able to use his legs because I think that's where it opens up a lot. You don't want to have him be able to get a 3rd and short. He drops back and then takes off running.
for 55 yards like he did last week.
That's where he'll kill you. And I've been saying this. We've seen it across the league year in and year out of a quarterback who utilizes his legs more than he does passing the football. I feel like Josh Allen can do both. However, sometimes when these QBs want to use their legs and only their legs, that's not a recipe for success to me. However, they've been successful, and I said this a couple of days ago. It's like if you allow him to just run all over you, you're going to lose a football game. And so I think you need to have that spy on Josh Allen to make sure you always know where he's at.
Chiefs are gathered on the 20-yard line on their side of the field. Fans are booing them. It's pretty nice. And now they're getting ready to run off the field right now, probably head back to the locker room. It's about 3 minutes left to go in the NFC divisional matchup. Detroit's leading 31-23 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now look, there's a lot at stake in this game tonight. If Kansas City wins, or if either one of these two teams win tonight, they travel next week to Baltimore Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern, kickoff for the AFC Championship game. And we know Kansas City's played in, they've hosted the last 5 years.
Mhm.
What would it mean for the Chiefs to win this game and to head there to play in it for the 6th straight year?
You know what? I would say for the way that this season has gone, as a down, you look at it as a down season for Mahomes as far as statistically speaking. It's a down year, right? From everyone
Willie
talking
Gay's
about
excited.
from everyone talking about the receivers to you need to run the ball, the play calling, the Matt Nagy, from all that, and then you make it to an AFC Championship game. I think that would be icing on the cake. Now, I mean, of course, that's not their end goal. However, even speaking to Charles Menahue last year, he's like, man, I've been to an AFC Championship game before, or I've been to a championship game before,
Yeah,
right?
he wants to go to
Yeah,
Las
he wants to go
Vegas.
to Las Vegas. That's why he came to Kansas City.
Look at this. We look at these two teams. Obviously, Josh Allen. There's a lot on the line for Josh Allen. And we see Tammy Reed with her fur mink from head to toe. She's killing the game. I see. But you look at it for Josh Allen
Hmm.
and the Buffalo Bills. Of course, they're obviously looking for a little bit of payback for what happened. When they lost in overtime, and it's interesting. The Chiefs lost in the same manner 2 years earlier against New England, and they didn't change the rules for them. But they changed the rules for after Buffalo didn't get a chance to go down and score after Kansas City won that ball game. Scored and won the ball game and moved on to the AFC Championship game. But for Josh Allen, Steve, how important is this game for him and his legacy? Because he's 3-3 against Mahomes, but 0-2 in the playoffs. And when it matters most, you had Joe Burrow come in here last year and win and win the divisional matchup on your home field.
I mean, as far as legacy goes, I mean, he has to go to a Super Bowl. He does. I mean, if you want to be, because you remember, and we talked about it all the time, that they always put up the next guy. It was never really, oh, Mahomes this, Mahomes that. It was always, well, next up is Josh Allen, or next
can
up
we
is
put
Joe
up,
Burrow. Yeah, or Joe Burrow. So it's still Josh Allen still there. However, to solidify that, he has to go and beat Mahomes when it makes sense, when it's due.
My guy Chad texted me, and of course we've had this conversation before. One of the things that the
Chiefs
Chiefs
wearing
have to
red
do.
pants. Red pants. Wink ask is a Chiefs
Oh,
Chiefs
okay.
wearing red pants.
Yeah, and so one of the things that he says that we've talked about often, Chiefs have to get behind the chains. They can't, third and short. They have to, extend the chain. See, and
Mhm.
that's the thing that we always talk about. If it's third and short, you don't have to drive back pass and try to hit a home run.
Yeah.
Extend the play. Do what you got to do to extend the play. If you can run it for a draw or something, get the first down.
Yeah.
And again, for me, the clock is your friend. Clock has got to be your friend.
Mm.
Because here's the thing. They are going to essentially run the football, one, because we do see a scenario where, just like in the last game last month, Legarius Sneed is probably going to lock down Stephon Diggs.
I mean, you'd hope. You
Well,
hope.
I
I
mean,
mean, you hope that that's
look,
the
hold on.
case.
He's done it all season, so
Okay.
I'm hoping above hope that he got at least a few more games in him to do that.
Okay.
But if he does that, obviously, there are other wide receivers you got. He'll probably throw to Kincaid or Knox, whatever. So a big responsibility will be left on the linebackers, along with Justin Reed
Mhm.
back there at the safety to make sure nobody gets behind him. But that's the case. They're going to try to run the football.
Yeah.
James Cook had a Pro Bowl year this year. They've changed the offense up after they fired their offensive coordinator mid-season.
Mhm.
And so now they're going to do whatever they can to keep Mahomes on the sideline. So if I know that that's their game plan, why would it not be my game plan to keep Josh Allen on the sideline
Yeah.
and utilize Pacheco and patience in this game? Now look,
You had to. You can't go away from. I don't think you can go away from the run. You have to understand. I mean, anyone can see that Pacheco brings some energy, right? And I think that you want to keep that energy, and you got to run the football. You got to be more. You got to be more balanced. You got to have a balanced attack.
yeah. Steve, defensively for the Chiefs. Now, in the last game that these two teams met up on December 10th,
Hmm.
Nick Bolton didn't play in that game. Drew Tranquil didn't play in that game.
Hmm.
And even Isaiah Pacheco didn't play in that game. How big of a difference maker will those three players be in tonight's matchup?
You know what? And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say Chris Jones didn't play in that game either. I looked at the line on Chris Jones that
He
week
played in
14.
that game. He
Yeah, I looked at the line on Chris
he
Jones in
just
that
didn't
week
show up.
14 game. He was very absent, and I think he's going to be the key. And I know we going to get to X factors, but I'm gonna give you mine right now. I think it has to be Chris Jones. I feel like he has to be the one that wills his defense to help create those turnovers for Josh Allen. So that's my X factor.
One of the things that I had someone text me about was the win in tonight's game. I'm being texted really the win as we see the flags on the goalposts not really a factor at the moment.
Hmm.
So so if the Chiefs do get in a situation where and we always had this I don't want to say argument, but this thing where Chiefs aren't putting the ball into the end zone, they are kicking field. If they are kicking field goals, I do like Harrison Butker and kicking well in tonight's game. But that's one of the biggest things that we've always talked about.
Can't change, can't go back and forth field goals to touchdowns.
Yes, but here's the thing: we've seen that this team recently, especially Buffalo, they've been scoring touchdowns.
Yeah.
Even the field goal that they tried to do last week against Pittsburgh got blocked and
Yeah.
got returned for, and then Pittsburgh ended up scoring a touchdown right before the half. Kansas City, they had, I think, 6 opportunities, they had a lot of opportunities last week against Miami, and I think 3 of them were in the red zone, and they kicked field goals. I mean, you cannot trade field goals for touchdowns in this game, against this team, because anytime that they feel like they can limit you to 3 points, that's a victory for them.
Of course. Here's the thing: when you get in the red zone, you have to score, and I feel like the Chiefs understand that. Look, we hear it from Kelsey, we hear it from Holmes. This is a different kind of football. They understand that. The further you go in the playoffs, the more realer it gets, right? if I could just be playing, but yeah, I feel like they understand that.
One of the things, again, we talked about earlier, my guy Chad reminds me of it, is the penalties.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Jawan Taylor, the Chiefs' offensive right tackle, in the locker room this week after one of the pressers, and he was playing basketball. We talked over to the side and said, "Hey, man, you can't be doing what you've been doing, right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to be expecting. You got the loud count. I mean, you got the silent count. The crowd's going to be just all up on you. Can't be false starting." I said, because you haven't been to Las Vegas. You haven't played the Super Bowl. Now, if you want to do that, you got to cut down on the mistakes. Now, he said, "I got you, D. I got you." Now, I told him, I'm going to be here in Buffalo. So do the Chiefs limit those type of dumb penalties and mistakes tonight?
You have to. I think they understand that. You got to play your best football. We talked about it's an amped up environment. They know that they're going into where they're at, and it's been a long season, and I feel like this is gonna make or break you. It most definitely is. You got to come out and play your best football. You can't have those mental errors. You can't beat yourself. There were a few games this season where we felt like the Chiefs would beat themselves, and I feel like you can't have that happen in a big game like today. Because granted, everybody in America is gonna be watching this football game.
There's going to be a lot of eyes on this game tonight.
Yeah.
You gave me your X factor for defense, and I'll get to mine in a second. But give me your X factor offensively for the Chiefs to win this game.
The best players have to show up. I'm gonna say that. I think the best players have to. You gotta. And I'm talking. No. And I mean what I mean by that is you have to have your Patrick Mahomes be Mahomes. You have to have your Kelsey be Kelsey. So I'm gonna go with Mahomes. He has to be the best player on the football field. Because he's
I mean, you took me.
Yeah.
I mean, you took my X factor. And look,
Great minds thinking alike.
I'm in agreement with you because here's the thing. Just like you said, there's a lot right on the line. Look, and we've talked about legacy and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Look at Lamar Jackson, what he's doing and going through in Baltimore. There's a reason why they feel like they're the favorite. But if you look at what he's doing, had
Hmm.
the whole contract issue last season. This year he's going to win the MVP. He'll be a two-time MVP along with Mahomes. He is the favorite at the moment, with the AFC Championship game being in Baltimore to get to Super Bowl, perhaps even win it. For Mahomes, his legacy is defined by what he does going up against Tom Brady, even though Brady's not here no more.
Hmm.
You don't want to get to these points where you get close and you can't. Look, this is your first road game, so you don't want to be 0-1 in your first road game because people will hold it. We're in the media; they
Yeah.
gonna hold that against them, and then losing to Josh Allen, they hold that against you. People say you are the best quarterback in the NFL. Like you said, you have to play like it. You have to come out and show it.
Hmm.
Now, granted, you got to have your teammates follow you along the way, but you also got to put them in situations as well to where they can help you. And so, overthrowing receivers or underthrowing them, and hitting to their, you can't do that in tonight's game. So for me, yeah, Mahomes is the X factor in tonight's game. Defensively, I'm going back to L'Jarius Sneed again.
Okay.
Again, because you talked about I'm gonna go L'Jarius Sneed and Justin Reed. I said it because
Two people. Okay.
well, I mean you did say Kelsey and Mahomes, so I'm throwing that back at you.
Okay.
LJ because of what he did last time against Stephon Diggs. Let's see him repeat it because then you shut him down. You force Allen to go somewhere else with it.
Hmm.
Again, he had both of his tight ends catch touchdown passes last week.
He did.
That's going to be up to the safeties to make sure that they don't beat them, they don't get behind them, and anyone else to get to the end zone. So
Okay.
I expect those are my X factors on defense.
Okay.
Overall, Steve, what's your prediction for tonight's game? Because this is what the people are waiting for right now.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs winning 27-24.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a close one, but 27-24 Chiefs.
27-24. I had 31-27. I do think the Chiefs put points on the board because they're going to have to. I think there's no way that they don't win this game if they're not going tit for tat against Buffalo. And I think for them to do it, they got to get out early. If they get the ball first, they have to get the ball into the end zone and not 3 points. So for me, Chiefs 31, Buffalo 27. They advance to the AFC Championship game in Baltimore, where hopefully Steve and I will be at next week. And Steve, before we get out of here, thank our sponsors, if you would, please.
I want to give a credit to my friends over at Dealers on the Rosa. Make sure you go out and hang out with them and talk to Heather Gray. You check her out, and she makes sure that you have your game day look, whatever that may be.
And just for people who are not watching, Detroit won 31-23 against Tampa Bay. Jameer Gibbs, of course, ran like a fool and caught like a fool. But anyway, probably messed up my slips. I want to thank Todd White and Todd's Clothier and Taylor Suits for outfitting me for tonight's game. And also I want to thank the Iconic Group for making sure I got here safe and sound via Delta Airlines. So, the weather notwithstanding, we got here safe and sound. Hopefully we get back home safe and sound. Make sure you join us for the Red Hour. Will it be tomorrow or will it be Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Join us for the Red Hour on Tuesday. We'll recap the game and get you ready for the AFC Championship game, along with the NFC Championship game. Steve and I, of course, will bring you the post-game show and bring you the press conferences tonight. We'll talk to the players and everything, and so we'll load those interviews up and everything. So make sure you follow Steve at Steve Walls KC. Follow me at Darren Smith NFL, and go Chiefs. So for Steve Walls, Darren Smith, thank you so much for joining us for the pregame cheat sheet. Make sure you watch the game, and we'll see you after the game.
Football fans, you can't spell gate without Gates, and great tailgates start with Gates sauces and seasonings. Named synonymous with mouth-watering tailgates. When you make your list of tailgate essentials, add Gates sauces and seasonings to that list. Spice up your tailgate experience with that unmistakable great taste. Available in 4 tantalizing flavors. Classic, sweet and mild, mild and hot. Find it at your local grocer, and if you don't see it, ask for it. Visit GatesBarbecue.com to purchase any of the great sauces and seasonings. Great tailgates start with Gates.